Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, guys, and welcome to Sonic 3 and Knuckles for the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis.
Now, this is a classic game for you.
Well, for a lot of people, including myself, and yeah, this is for a lot of people to be their favourite Sonic game of all time, and this is a game that I absolutely love, and it's one of my favourite games ever. So I thought it'd be a great game to do, and it's also relatively short too. So what we'll do is we'll do the Sonic playthrough first, and then we'll do the Knuckles playthrough, because Tails is essentially no different from Knuckles. So, and I pressed the wrong button.
We'll get in there in just a moment.
Yeah, there you go. Now this is actually the first Sonic game to include a save system as well, besides CD. But I like how they handled it here more so than CD, because you can actually choose to have no saves. And yeah, I mean, originally Sonic 3 was its own cartridge, but Sonic and Knuckles was its own cartridge. And when you combine both games, that was intentionally the real Sonic 3 due to memory limitations. So we're going to be doing Sonic and Tails. So let's get going.
Classic biplane.
Yep. And this actually takes place after the Sonic 2 ending as well.
Which explains Supersonic.
Yep.
But oh, that dastardly Knuckles.
Yep. Who steals your emeralds because he's a prick. Right, let's go.
Angel Island Zone, Act 1.
Yeah, now, when it comes to this game, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was an improvement with the first game in many ways, but I think Sonic 3 and Knuckles perfected it, because you've got the exact same spin dash you've got from Sonic 2, but there's now elemental shields they introduced, which is like fire, lightning, and water. And there's various other things they've added, like being able to fly with Tails for the first time, and being able to play as Knuckles the Echidna, who can glide and climb walls, and we'll get more into him when we tackle his section of the game, but we're going to be tackling Sonic and Tails first. Now, like I said before, Sonic 3 originally was 6 zones. It was a relatively short game, but what happened was that they had to split the cartridges down to 2 into 1 to make it essentially the true Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which is what we're playing right now, because I'm obviously not going to be playing this game separately. Because if you want to see the real ending, you have to play as Sonic 3 and Knuckles. If you want to play as Tails and the Sonic and Knuckles levels, you have to play as Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Same with Knuckles and the Sonic 3 levels. It's just a much richer, better experience of the game in general. So.
And so let's go through these special stages. They're a lot better than the ones in Sonic 2, that's for sure. Yeah,
I've always loved these because it's very easy to anticipate when the blue spheres come up. Now, the idea of these special stages is that you have to collect all the blue spheres, but make sure you don't touch the red ones. Now, if you manage to grab every single ring in the special stage like I did here, you'll get 50,000 points. Now, as you get further into the game, these do get quite challenging, if you've noticed. Like, you start to speed up the longer you stay in the special stages.
But as challenging as they get, I would prefer these over the ones in Sonic 2 where it was very luck-based, or you had to memorize quite a lot where things are on many different runs.
Yeah, and also getting to the special stages I think is better, because in Sonic 2 you had to collect 50 rings then find a checkpoint. The first game you had to get to the end of the stage with 50 rings. Here you just got to find secret areas and then jump into the ring, and that's essentially it. So I like getting to the Chaos Emeralds in this game a lot more as well. So.
And already a successful start.
Yep, indeed. Now, what's cool is that I also like how Supersonic is back in this game once you get the Chaos Emeralds, but there's also an option where you can choose if you want to become Supersonic or not. Because in Sonic 2, when you jumped, you just turned into Supersonic after you collected 50 rings. Tails, you little bastard, what are you doing? This isn't a war.
Push it this way, Sonic!
You're not, you little annoying bugger. Okay. Because I'm the main hero, not you. You're just my sidekick.
And here's our first boss battle of the game. And it's not Eggman this time.
Yep. And this game has a shit ton of bosses, more so than Sonic 2, because at the end of every act, because there's 2 acts in this game like Sonic 2, but unlike Sonic, actually let's tackle this while we're at. Yeah.
The bonus stage.
Now, the goalposts in this game, unlike Sonic 2, which take you to the special stages, here you get a bunch of bonus stages. There's 3 of them. Now, depending on what colour you get, now you notice there was white sparkles before I jumped in there.
Yep.
That takes you to this one, where it's just simply like you got to bounce on these and collect it's like a vending machine. You've got to try and hit the slot and then simply grab these. I'll give you a good chance to see what the elemental shields are like as well. So now, as you can see, when you're playing as like now you notice I grabbed a bubble shield here. Now, with Sonic, he can actually bounce. So you press the jump button and you press the jump button again, you can actually do a bounce. But not only that, you can breathe as long as you have this equipped, you can breathe underwater as long as you can. So you don't have to worry about running out of oxygen like in the first 2 games, as long as you have this shield on you.
Which is very handy.
Yep.
And here comes another special stage.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm not going to bother grabbing all the rings. I'm just going to focus on getting the blue spheres out of the way, because it's not really that important. And you already get loads of 1-ups anyway, so it's all good.
I mean, it's not like you get 100% completion if you get every ring.
Yeah, the only way you can get 100% completion in this game is obviously collecting all the Chaos Emeralds, and there's going to be Super Emeralds in the game as well, so there's a lot more to collect in this game, and a lot more replayability, I think. Especially where all 3 characters play differently from one another as well, which adds to the replay value of this game. There was even a multiplayer mode, which was pretty fun, so...
Yeah, I also remember that being in Sonic 2 as well.
Yeah. I like both, actually, equally, so... I mean, Sonic 2 is a great game, I love that one as well, so... I think that game was an improvement over the first game in many ways, so...
No, in no doubt it was a much better game overall.
Yeah, it's much more quicker pace as well, so... I mean, Sonic 1's a good game, but going back to it after playing this one and Sonic 2, it's a bit harder to get back into, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of like that for turn-based games. Like, I played both XCOM, Enemy Unknown, and XCOM 2, and going back to Enemy Unknown is very janky when you've played XCOM 2.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, I mean, there's the fire shield, which actually is kind of like a pretty cool one as well, where you're immune to fire when you've got the fire shield. The electric one, you can bounce high with it, but not only that, it gathers up rings as well, so it's very easy to gather up rings. Yeah.
Whee!
Indeed. And you're about to see that right now.
Ah yes, the electrical shield.
Which is pretty cool, I think.
It also drags a lot of those rings towards you.
Yeah, which is quite handy. And it helps you get to higher places when you're playing as Sonic.
And now the fire shield.
Yep. Kamehameha!
Or Hadouken!
Yep. And you're also immune to fire, as you noticed.
Ah, easy boss.
Indeed. Now, what I like is that in Sonic 2, Act 1, you just complete the stage, then you move on to Act 2, then you fight Robotnik. In this game, it's like Act 1, there's a mini-boss, and then Act 2 is where you fight Robotnik. So this game has a lot more boss fights in it as well.
Yeah, which is why I mentioned earlier. It's like, it's very different, because like, it's not Eggman you're fighting this time.
Yep.
At least not initially.
That's it. You do fight him in Act 2, but in Act 1, you fight a bunch of his robots in general. Yeah, now this game is actually pretty fantastic. As I've said, this is one of my favourite games of all time. Whether it's the music, the graphics, the gameplay, all of it's just really tight, I think, so...
Why do you say you go over your history of the game and, like, you're applauded many times of the classicness of it?
Yeah, now, my first exposure to Sonic was actually on the Sonic Jam compilation, which came out on the Sega Saturn. And I remember playing it as a kid, and this was always the one I jumped to for some reason. This is always the one I always went back to. Just being able to play as Knuckles and climb on walls, because I used to love doing that as a kid. And just in general, this was one of my favourite games ever, period. And people used to always talk about Sonic 2, but this was the one I always was attached to the most. And then over the years, now people think it's the best Sonic game, and I agree. So, yeah. I mean, it's very long, it's big, it's got great levels. The special stages and bonus stages are fun. It's got tight controls, great graphics, great music, great gameplay. Just, I can gush about this game forever.
You can certainly gush about this game a lot more on Sonic Mania as well.
Yeah, I mean, Sonic Mania is fantastic, but this game has a bit more originality to it because all the levels were original, whereas Mania just took what was great about the other games and just made it its own. So.
Which is not a detriment to Sonic Mania. That in itself is also a great game.
Yeah, but it's just a lack of originality is why I prefer this one. But still, Mania is fantastic. And I do like the newer zones they introduced. Boom, there we go.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, what game was that one that goes perfect? Street Fighter 2?
Yeah, Street Fighter 2. Perfect. Actually, it's interesting. If you got a perfect with M. Bison, you got 80,000 points. Whereas the other bosses, it's just 50,000. It makes sense because M. Bison's a fucking bitch.
Ugh. That guy was a pain in the ass to fight.
Yeah, especially when he attacks you and he just flies in the air and does a backflip. That attack always annoyed me because he can always get you.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the stage itself.
Yeah, now, Angel Island's a really cool level. I like the music, I like the atmosphere. Just the graphics for its time. Like, this was like 1994 and it looked really good. I mean, I really like Sonic's sprite as well. I do think it looks better than what Sonic 1 and 2 do.
Yeah, visually, like, Angel Island Zone looks a lot more lively than even Green Hill Zone. I'm going to come out and say it.
Yeah, and you notice the transition here as well. Like, in the first stage, it was all nice and green. Now it's got fire in the background and all sorts. And that's what I like. I mean, what I really like about this game's music is that, unlike Sonic's 1 and 2, the tracks are like, say, like Act 1 and Act 2, the tracks were the same. But here, like Act 1's track it's the same track. I mean, Act 2's track is the same as Act 1's, but it just sounds different. So I like how every act has its own version of the track, rather than the first two games where, oh, Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 have the exact same music. Whereas, like in this game, Act 2's soundtrack sounds slightly different to the first acts, which I really appreciate.
And here's the second bonus stage.
Yeah, now if you jump into the one that has orange sparkles, you'll go into this stage, which is like pinball, which is very similar to Sonic 1. You notice the background's the same as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, if you get 3 Robotniks, you want to avoid doing that, so I'm
because
just going
it's instant death.
So I'm going to just leave this area, because you're more likely to get Robotnik if you have so many rings. So.
God, that ability is so helpful when trying to get out of areas.
Yeah, not only that, it's really useful for when you're underwater as well, so...
There's another life up.
Yep.
Can you only go up to like 9 lives in this, or can you go to like 99?
You can go up to 99, yeah.
Oh, that's nice, because like I've played games where you only allowed like 9 lives total.
Yep,
I didn't know how far I was going to go.
Well, now you do. Yeah, but this game is pretty fantastic, if I'm honest.
I mean, while we're on the subject of Sonic, what would you say about the Sonic movie?
I liked it. The first one I liked, and the second one I liked, so, yeah.
Yeah, I actually, for me, when I went into those films, I didn't have much of an opinion on it. I was like, oh, Sonic movie. It's the one with that god-awful CG rendition.
Yeah, because that was before it came out, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then they went around and changed it.
Yeah, because the actual people listened to the criticism, apparently, so...
So, of course, when I went through it into the cinema, I obviously didn't have much of an opinion on it, because I hadn't played a lot of Sonic games lately. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised about it.
Yeah, it is a good film. Yeah, both films are really good. I actually enjoyed them.
Especially the second one, like, Jesus, I think that was an improvement over the first, if you ask me.
Yeah, this is why I do think Sonic does produce good content when it's done right, so...
Yeah, like, but I do think, like, in terms of, like, ratio, like, I think Mario just has the better formula for that.
Yeah, though I've got to say, this is still one of my favourite games of all time, coming from someone who's not a massive Sonic fan, which is pretty crazy, in it, if you think about it. Because it's just such a well-crafted 2D platformer, so the levels are great, everything about this game is just great, I think. Actually, what's awesome is if you have a 2-player with you, if you have someone play with you, you can control Tails, and also when he's flying, you can jump right on top of him there, and you can help Sonic fly up really high to areas. I think you might have seen footage of that.
Yeah.
Which is really helpful. So I like how Tails actually does something here, unlike Sonic 2, where he just doesn't really do anything. Because he plays exactly the same as Sonic, but he moves a lot slower as well, so...
Oh, there we go, the fire shield.
Yeah.
More rings.
More rings. More rings indeed.
Oh, went back to bubble shield.
Yeah, actually, because I thought I may as well need it, because you can actually take out Robotnik quite easily with it, so... And Tails is faster than me for some reason. That's not right. That is not right. I should be faster than Tails, not the other way around.
Well, let's be fair, later on in the game, Robotnik is also a lot faster than you.
Yeah, I mean, look how many fucking rings I got now.
Shit, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So here's the boss fight. Generally, you want to avoid all the bombs hitting you.
Well, actually, this isn't the boss fight. This is just a test. When we get to the ending part.
Oh, like a gauntlet, rather.
Yeah, like a little round sort of thing, yeah. And Tails is getting helplessly abused.
I mean, good thing he's invincible.
Yeah, he's immortal. Could he be the Tails doll?
Oh, God.
Right.
And he goes and falls to his death. Good job.
Yeah, and he comes back from the dead, as you can see.
So anyway, boss fights, how do they go?
Basically, you just got to try and hit him multiple times. It's like the other Sonic games in particular. There you go. Much easier with the bubble shield. And also, instead of waiting for that to come down, just do that.
Yeah, so you don't have to keep waiting for that like in the previous games.
Yeah. That's it.
another life up.
Yeah, that happens every time you get 50,000 points.
Oh, that dastardly Knuckles is back again.
Indeed.